την διάλυση του ΝΑΤΟ και της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης προβλέπει με νέες δηλώσεις που έκανε ο πρώην συνταγματάρχης του Αμερικανικού Στρατού και πολιτικός επιστήμονας Ντάγκλας ΜακΓκρέγκορ σε διαδικτυακή του συνομιλία με τον Άντριου Ναπολιτάνο, είπε πολλά ενδιαφέροντα πράγματα.
Russians have crossed the Dnieper River. They already have special operations forces and agents on the ground outside of Odessa. Now, why would the Russians cross the river, the South Dnieper, with large forces? It would be to take Odessa. Why would you take Odessa? Odessa would turn, if it's in Russian hands, would stop the flow of many, many arms, equipment, and support into Ukraine from the sea, from the Black Sea. Secondly, it would also landlock Ukraine. In other words, turn this future rump state we call Ukraine into a state with no outlet to the sea, which of course would be very harmful to the future of Ukraine. Now, everybody's saying, oh, no, that will never happen. No, absolutely, I think it's going to happen. I think they're going to take Kharkov up in the north. These are things that have been discussed for a very long time. And I think President Putin, to this point, had he sat down with President Trump, would have been willing to discuss alternative futures for Odessa. But at this point, the incentive is gone. I mean, we could go through a whole range of discussions up and down the line where these battles of encirclement on a tactical and operational level have been conducted with great success by the Russians. And they're gradually, systematically moving forward and annihilating whatever they find. But I think at this point, President Putin has probably signaled to the general staff, let's plan on taking Odessa. Let's plan on moving further forward to the Dnieper River. And we'll see if this has any impact on the West. It's doubtful. But there's something else going on. We've had explosions, damage done to oil refineries in Slovakia, in Hungary, and I understand in Romania. These refineries, especially in Slovakia and Hungary, are refining oil that comes through the so-called Druzhba pipeline that crosses Ukraine, comes out of Russia. Why would these explosions occur suddenly? The Slovaks and the Hungarians aren't blowing up their own pipelines. So who's doing it? Well, it's not the Russians. Could it be Ukrainians? Potentially. Could it be Poles? Maybe. But the Ukrainians have their hands full as it is. Could this be British MI6 or CIA operatives? We don't know, but this is driving a larger wedge between the Hungarians, the Slovaks. I think the Czechs are watching this and see this as a very ominous sign. The Slovenes are very uncomfortable with it. So are the Croats. The Romanian population is stuck with a president they really didn't want, who is a puppet of the EU, but the population is very opposed to going to war with Russia. All of this is bad news, and it signals, I think, the decay, the destruction, the disintegration of NATO and the EU, which is, these things are now inevitable. NATO is fragile. It's brittle. It will break easily. It's already begun to break. That's why you have Mr. Orban, who has sent a note, I don't know if you've seen it, to his friends in Warsaw, because the Poles and the Hungarians really have a long history of cooperation. They've always been on friendly terms. And Mr. Orban is appalled by the attitude and the statements coming out of Warsaw. Orban has been leading the charge against war with Russia. Everybody knows that. Now he's being treated as though he deserves to be treated as the enemy, that he should be grouped with Russia as the enemy. This is insane, but it's also destructive. Yeah. It signals the end of NATO, frankly.